Okay, so you just read issue number 30 of Transformers Skybound, and I think it's safe to say that you probably have some pretty big emotions on it. This issue has been, well, let's just be honest, it's been making a lot of people quit the Skybound Transformers continuity, because Robert Kirkman has definitely done some pretty out there things with this series. And so you are probably also here because, in the past I have been hypercritical of pretty much everything Robert Kirkman has done with the series. And so you've come to the honestly logical conclusion that I, Delta Trion, must absolutely loathe this foul issue. And actually, I don't. But I want to talk about that. So look, I completely understand why this issue is, causing so many issues and why many people are deciding to jump off of the book at this point. There's a lot of new ideas that are happening here for the franchise that I personally really like, but as per usual with Robert Kirkman's run, I don't think that they are executed in a very good way. Great ideas. This franchise needs to constantly change and yet transform and update itself and try new things, and I'm always down for that. I'm always excited for that. I just think that for a comic that has a history already of working a certain way, these new ideas are not being melded into the story correctly. They're just kind of being tacked on. But let's quickly go through the important moments of this issue. Optimus and Alita are reunited, and as I said in my video about love, I'm glad that they don't immediately reconcile with each other. I'm fine with these characters loving each other. I'm fine with these characters eventually at some point maybe even being back together, but I don't think that this is, a small tiff that can just be explained away and these two characters say, hey, it's fine. I really like the conversation between them because obviously Alita is just overcome and fueled by this rage. And this moment when she backhands Optimus and she challenges him to leadership, I jumped out of my seat when he says, "This is not how we do things." And she says, "It is now." This harkens back to Volume 2, I believe it's issue 7 or 8, where Starscream is challenged by Soundwave, and Thundercracker even says, "This is our way. This is the way the Decepticons work." And so to see this all of a sudden happening to the Autobots is awesome. I just wish that there was a little more context here, and we could have seen Thundercracker. He didn't have to say anything, but at least seen him a little more looking at the situation going, this is why I left the Decepticons. And now the Autobots are just kind of falling into the same trap. Again, maybe we'll see that in the future. That's fine, but in the moment, I really wanted to see more reactions from these characters. Although I will say Cliffjumper's reaction where he's got that kind of sneer on his face, he's, nervous. I love that. But Optimus and Alita fighting, I think, is actually a lot of great artwork and a lot of great storytelling to these two different characters. Optimus is obviously trying to stop his own men from hurting Alita, and he's not really even fighting back. He's just kind of protecting himself and protecting his people. It's also cool to see Shredhead show up and try and help. Carly and Spike are there. Okay, not sure how, but they are there. Alita trying to rip open Optimus's chest. This whole scene with her opening it up to force the Matrix out while Carly and Spike watch on. I think this is a spectacular moment to see this kind of side-by-side of Carly and Alita. However, I can't help but feel that this lands kind of flat in a way because Carly and Alita, to me, don't have as meaningful of a connection as Carly and Cliffjumper, or even, Carly and RC. The fact that she shows up and she doesn't immediately recognize Cliffjumper, I think it would have been nicer to see Cliffjumper kind of protect Carly instead of Shredhead. Again, there's a lot of things going on. I'm not asking that they address every single thing at one time. I very much understand this is a very specific moment with Alita, but I just can't help but feel a little lost here. I think it would have been nicer to see Optimus look at Spike and kind of see this reaction of, man, are the Autobots falling apart? Are they the right side? I think that would have been more meaningful. Optimus is change of spark, I guess, where he understands that Alita is in immense pain and he decides to, well, hear her out, is an interesting turn. I don't think that this is wrong of Optimus. I'm hearing a lot of people say Optimus would never do this, and I really hate when people say that because there is no centralized continuity for Transformers. That's what makes it great. We can always try new things, but I do understand that maybe perhaps they don't think the Optimus Prime of Skybound that Daniel Warren Johnson so expertly wrote would do something like this, and I actually disagree. I do think Optimus would try and stop Alita in speaking to her. He reveals to us that the Matrix cannot be taken, it can't be stolen through violence. That's not their way. Alita apologizing obviously is not her saying, hey, you're right, I shouldn't have done that, but it's her weak. She's weak, she's tired, she's been fueled by rage, and for all of us, if you've ever had a fit of rage, then you know it drains a lot out of you. Alita is just doing what she believes is right, as Optimus says. And then Optimus makes the decision that, well, he's gonna let the Matrix choose who the new leader of the Autobots is. And again, this is probably another decision that a lot of people do not like and saying Optimus would not do, but I do feel like this is something that Optimus might do. This is something that he's giving up of himself, the power of the Matrix, to see what is going to happen next. It's not his. The Matrix is, at least in this continuity, it seems almost its own entity to a way. It will choose the new Autobots leader. I love the fact that we see Optimus and Cliffjumper and Alita to kind of give you a, who's it going to be, who's gonna be the next leader. And it is Alita. It is Alita Prime. And I think a lot of people, I think this is probably the biggest reason a lot of people are quitting, because Alita Prime and her existence. We definitely get to see the fallout of this, all the Autobots just kind of staring in silence. Props to Robert Kirkman for not giving them all dialogue bubbles that have ... on them. I was very impressed. But the Matrix has chosen, and Optimus Prime is not Optimus Prime anymore. He's just Optimus. Again, another thing I'm sure a lot of people will say, oh, they got this piece of lore wrong. His name is supposed to be Orion. Come on, we've had plenty of continuities where his name, when he's not a Prime, is Optimus. I think this works well for people who are just jumping into the comics. If they had Optimus Prime say, my name is Orion Pax, they'd probably be a little confused. His name just being Optimus, I think, works fine. And I actually honestly really do love the design of this Optimus. I think he's cool. I normally don't like to see Optimus's mouth, but I think it works here. However, there's some things that do not work here, and that is the way Alita treats the Autobots once she becomes the new Prime. Obviously, she is going to lead her conquest back to Cybertron. She does not care for Earth. That's fine. That's been established. But she almost reprimands the Autobots and says, if you stay here, we're not coming back for you. I don't think that we ever will be able to. And on top of that, you won't be Autobots. And that is just, that's really tough for me to swallow. Not because I don't think Alita is capable of that. Obviously, she is a battle-hardened character. She's a hard-ass. I understand that. And she's been an antagonist for Optimus Prime for quite some time now. So I understand there's still friction between them. Again, I'm glad there's friction. I'm glad it's not just all water under the bridge. But the fact that she does this to the Autobots who decide to stay, man, to me it seems really, really harsh. So Bulkhead decides to take Bumblebee back to Cybertron. I think this is a great decision. And also Ultra Magnus deciding to go to Cybertron, I think makes perfect sense. He's been kind of clashing with Optimus lately. There's been a lot of friction between them about, the war ending versus them winning the war. And I think Ultra Magnus, for the most part, has kind of completed his arc on Earth. He needs to go home for something new to happen. This moment between Optimus and Alita Prime is really beautiful, and I really, really do love it. And again, I think this is probably some of Dan Mora's greatest art. Last issue had a lot of art that I had issues with, but this one really has some great moments. And we get to close this out, of course, with seeing the Autobots. Well, they were Autobots. They've scratched their badges off, who have stayed with Optimus. And this is a great shot of Optimus saying that they're going to complete their mission somehow. What do I think about this entire idea? Again, I think the idea of Optimus not having the Matrix and kind of being a rogue agent on Earth, being alone with no backup to finish his mission, I like that idea. The idea of Elita leading the charge into Cybertron and being the new Prime, I think that that's a great idea. I really love all of these ideas, but yet again, the execution to me falls flat. Elita has been such a well-written character in the past, and now she just, to me, it feels kind of like she's flip-flopping back and forth. She has a tender moment with Optimus, and then she's fighting him, and then she apologizes, and then she's granted the Matrix, and then she basically annexes the Autobots who stay on Earth. And again, I'm not saying that she needs to be either angry all the time or happy all the time, but there's just an inconsistency here that I'm struggling with. It doesn't feel as if she's a character caught between two strong emotions that she's not sure what to do. It just kind of feels like she's being thrown back and forth for whatever the mood, requires. Again, I already spoke on the whole thing with Carly and Elita. I understand what they're trying to do there. I think it's a great visual image. I just don't think that it really lands very well. I think it would have been better for Optimus to have a moment with Spike, or even, once again, to have Thundercracker look at this all and be like, hey, these guys are not that different from the Decepticons. They've fallen to infighting themselves. Optimus Prime being downgraded, again, I like his design. I think this is a cool idea. Ultra Magnus leaving makes total sense to me. But again, there's things here that I feel are just rushed. A lot of people have been saying that it's unfair for me to compare issues 25 to 30 to all of Daniel Warren Johnson's run, and I'm not. So let's just compare issue 25 to 30 to Daniel Warren Johnson's 1 to 5. And Daniel Warren Johnson, I think, really fleshed out these characters a lot better, albeit granted he didn't have as many characters. And so here's kind of my hot take that I will most likely say a lot on the Teletran Tapes podcast when that episode comes out. I feel like the story presented in issues 25 through 30 should have been told in issues 25 to 36. Again, great ideas, but the execution of this is just so rushed. Had they had double the amount of issues for this, I feel like we would have had more time to kind of sit with things and see where these different characters are going and be like, oh man, these characters are moving towards a dynamic that just can't be undone, and it would hit a lot harder. The final roster for who is leaving Earth and who is saving is interesting. The fact that RC Magnus is deciding to stay on Earth makes sense because she would obviously follow Optimus, as she was the Magnus that was kind of appointed by him. I'm really disappointed that she hasn't got to do much. Again, this is something I think that could have been fixed had we had more issues in between all of these. She became Magnus. It was really cool, and then that was it. And now RC's also a Prime. And so I'm not saying that these female characters cannot have these awesome glow-ups. I love their designs. I want them to do something. And again, of course, yeah, there's going to be more issues in the future, but it's not about what will be coming down the pipeline. It's about the missed opportunities from the issues that we have. Beachcomber, the aerial bots, Thundercracker, of course, staying, Shredhead, Cliffjumper staying on Earth, which is great. He's standing right next to Carly. Really wish we would have seen, a better reunion there. Wheeljack decides to stay. But I have to ask, where's Jazz? Is Jazz leaving Optimus Prime? He's in some of the group shots, but I don't actually know if, he's fully leaving. Jetfire going back to Cybertron, that makes sense to me. Bulkhead taking Bumblebee and Ratchet, that also makes sense, but Jazz? Really? Is Jazz going to leave Optimus? Their dynamic, even though it has not been explored a whole lot, feels so important and feels like something amazing could happen from it. And yet again, it's just, there's nothing there. And many people may say, well, there's just so many characters, Delta. You constantly complain there's too many characters, and now you're complaining that those characters aren't getting used. Which one is it? And that's a great point. I feel like a lot can be done with all of these individual characters to show where they stand when it comes to Optimus. Obviously, issue 31 is going to jump over to a Megatron story. Transformers is going to be collabing with G.I. Joe for the issue of that month. And so we're going to see what happens with all of these characters, but again, I just can't help but feel that there's something integral missing to this issue, to this entire volume, to this entire story that Kirkman is trying to tell us with some really awesome new ideas, but a lackluster execution. So the big question is still, do I hate this issue? No, I actually don't. I actually like this issue. I think I even like it more than any of the other Robert Kirkman issues because of the ideas that it's trying to present to me. I like this new take for Transformers, and I'm actually really excited and reinvigorated to see what comes next, even if it has not been done to the greatest degree. Lots of people are quitting this comic because of this issue, and I think what is more accurate for people to look at is perhaps they're not quitting because they think issue 30 is god-awful. I think people are quitting because they have not enjoyed Robert Kirkman's direction of the series, and issue 30 is just the final issue that has broken them. And I think that's fine. Issue 30, I think, is actually a good issue, as I said. I just think it's the culmination of the new direction for Transformers. And while it doesn't necessarily undo canonically anything that Daniel Warren Johnson wrote, it definitely is taking it into a direction that does not line up with what Daniel Warren Johnson has done. But this is the most important part of the video. Of course, I leave to the end. It's so important to remember that the creation of something new does not inherently destroy the old. You can still read the first 24 issues of Transformers and have a fully complete, comprehensive story that has a beautiful, beautiful ending and be done with it. Sure, not every question is answered, not every character gets a spotlight, but not every story needs to have every single detail revealed to you. If you do want those details revealed to you, then continue reading. But if the direction of the comic is not to your liking, then I would say don't proclaim that Skybound is dead. Don't proclaim that Robert Kirkman has killed Transformers. Simply say, I really honestly love Daniel Warren Johnson's section, and the newer stuff is not to my liking. After all, we do that all the time with Transformers IDW. People love Lost Light more than meets the eye, but there's also a lot in IDW that people absolutely hate and just really dislike in general. For me, I'm going to continue reading this comic because I like the direction that they're taking it. I just hope that the execution, the writing, and the next artist, whoever that may be, probably, we already know it's going to be Jason Howard, I hope that they can create a world that maybe speaks to me a little bit more. It's totally fine. I think Dan Moore is an incredible artist, but there were some issues that I think his art just did not do justice to the story. That being said, again, I also want the story to be written better. So yeah, that's my ramble on issue 30. I was going to write a script, but I felt it would be better just to speak from the heart. Transformers is not dead. I'm not quitting the comic. I'm going to continue to cover it. I'm going to continue to do character essays and probably deeper dives into the issues in general. But yeah, I can understand why this is the final straw for a lot of people and why they've decided to jump ship. But if you do jump ship, please don't make it miserable for other people by saying, well, the Transformers Skybound comics were good, but they're actually ruined now. No. There's still a great section to it, and there's people who love the Robert Kirkman era of Transformers. That's fine. You don't have to say the whole of something is ruined simply because the latter half of it is something you don't like. Again, enjoy what you like within the Transformers continuities and community. That's what makes this franchise so great. If you don't like something about a certain corner of this franchise, there's another corner for you to enjoy. Go over there and enjoy that. And we can all enjoy pieces and parts of Transformers because it's a franchise that does just that. It continually transforms itself, tries new things to varying success, and continues to live on no matter what. And so we should celebrate that in comics, movies, TV shows, and in whatever medium comes forth. Thanks for watching. If you want to join the dialogue and the discussion, I've left a link below to join my community server. It's a lot of fun, very chill, basically a family there. We do movie nights, game nights. We do a monthly call where we talk about all the Energon Universe titles. I would love to see you guys there. Thanks for watching as always, and I will see you when issue 31 comes out. I'm not going anywhere. Bye.